All right. So as we wait for the 18th day of July 2025, just a couple of days to come, when Nnamdi Kanu will appear in court, Barrister Ejimako, one of the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu, in this video, took time to explain some things that has been happening. Oh yes, because there are some things that has been happening that we are not aware of. So in this video, he took time to explain it. And not only that, he also took time to explain, the Kenya's ruling. We know that a couple of days ago, or should I say up to a week ago, the Kenyan court passed a judgment in favor of Nnamdi Kanu, saying that, Nnamdi Kanu extradition from Kenya to Nigeria is illegal. And also, they went ahead to award him some millions. So, Barrister Ejimako in this video took time to explain those things and also tell us what we are expecting on the 18th day of July, because I tell us that day is the D-Day. So please let me not bore you with words. Let me now allow you to watch what he said, and then after watching it, you do well to drop your comment on the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because I'm here to give us all the update of everything that is happening in Nigeria, in Biafra land, and outside Nigeria. So please do well to subscribe, then watch this video.
But for those of them who are seeing me for the first time, my name is Nnamdi. I'm the special counsel to the indigenous people of Biafra and Nnamdi Kanu. I'm proudly so Kenyan High Court, before which Nnamdi Kanu had brought a legal action over this extraordinary rendition. So finally, we have the government of Kenya through an affidavit drawn up and filed by the Attorney General of Kenya, stating clearly, without any equivocation, that there was no record of departure of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya from when he entered Kenya. So this is the clearest confirmation yet, beyond media razzmatazz. This is now inside the record of the court of Kenya, that the Kenyan government is on record with such significant denial. So you can say that Nigeria has finally been thrown under the bus by Kenya. This denial, whether true or not, makes the case of extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu much stronger than it was before. That's number one. Number two, it has created a panoply of possible criminal violations that will ensue on grounds of the anti-torture legislation of Nigeria and the United Nations Convention Against Torture, and of course laws of Kenya. So right now you're looking at a situation where criminal indictments may lie against those people that participated directly or indirectly in the abduction, unlawful imprisonment, disappearance, torture, and the ultimate rendition of Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria. So while we were hitherto, while we were previously talking about extraordinary rendition as a barrier to his prosecution in the Abuja criminal matter that is pending, we're now talking about a situation where you have very serious crimes committed within the domestic laws of Kenya, domestic laws of Nigeria. Like I mentioned before, Nigeria has a law prohibiting torture, and within the canons of international law. So these criminal proceedings will have to be activated. We are lawyers, so we are going to pursue this to the hilt. We are trained to pursue the path of justice. So within Kenyan national jurisdiction and Nigerian national jurisdiction and the international arena, you can expect that there is going to be a levying of sort of myriad criminal indictments to follow what happened. It was a very terrible thing. Someone entered, and we have it on good authority. Kenyan immigration records still indicate that Nnamdi Kanu is still in Kenya, because I'm sure somewhere along the line the British authorities will stumble on this information. So it opens a new vista of diplomatic interventions by Britain that has the right, based on the nationality, British nationality of Nnamdi Nnamdi Kanu, Britain now has a clearer right to demand of the Kenyan government what happened to Her Majesty's subject, Her Majesty's citizen who entered your country on 12th May 2021, but then suddenly found himself in Nigeria. I think a lot of questions will have to be answered here diplomatically and criminally. That is a very, very important development in the case. It makes the countervailing motions that have been brought before the Abuja High Court stronger. Of course, it adds a little bit of muscle to the recent judgment of the Abia State High Court. And I'm happy to have learned from social media early enough where Leonard Silk, Michael Sokome, raised the issue of extraordinary rendition as a barrier to the continued or further prosecution of Nnamdi Kanu. Anybody will recall that I raised this issue as of early July last year. The only regret I have, quite honestly, is that this issue was not raised as of July. It was ripe as of July. It's being raised late in the day, but it's okay. The end justifies the means. It has been raised. It has been raised, and that was what I meant at the time when I said there is going to be trial within trial. So before the federal government can get to actually putting Nnamdi Kanu up for trial, they have to cross that barrier. Telling the court that Nnamdi Kanu was intercepted is not enough. Interception is unknown to law as a mode of bringing a foreign fugitive suspect or a fugitive suspect found in a foreign country to the country of supposed or purported jurisdiction. There is nothing like interception known to either international law or municipal law. What is known to international law is extradition. Putting on rendition has opened the door for the federal government to come in and explain to this court how they managed to bring Nnamdi Kanu before the court. That barrier, that bridge has to be crossed before any trial, any proper trial can ensue. Thank you.
All right, sir. With the current development coming from Kenya, do you think that the Kenyan government have escaped the consequences of the extradition of Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, at least they are denying it on record. The court case in Kenya is making its way through the system, but it's a constitutional action, it's a civil action. But this very affidavit, this latest affidavit has opened a new avenue for a new action that is going to be grounded on criminal violations. So if Nigeria went into Kenya and violated the territorial integrity of Kenya, it's for Kenya to say clearly that that's what happened. But you see, it beats the imagination. It's quite unbelievable, incredible that one nation will go to another with a private jet, take someone and exit the international airport of that nation without any let or hindrance. That is very hard to believe. But the whole truth, I think, will only be unraveled if some kind of criminal investigation is open. The details of that, I cannot get into the details on camera.
Okay, sir. Towards the next upcoming case of Nnamdi Kanu, do you think there is anything we can do, your legal team can do within these days that the final ruling will be heard? Do you think there's any other application that should be filed in the courts on this
latest
yes.
Well, anyway, you see, we are always going back to the drawing board. Every new development leads to a rethinking of the strategies for defending him before the Abuja court. You raise a very important point that will come into consideration. But I think the next point of action for us is to see how his bail is going to be reinstated and a new bail approved for him by the court. We believe that his qualify for bail right now that we have a consideration, a determination by a court of competent jurisdiction, but that what happened in 2017 that brought him or compelled him not to attend court in 2017 was not his fault, but the fault of the federal government. So it used to be that Nnamdi Kanu was a bad guy in John Bell, but right now with the pronouncement of the Abia High Court, it's the federal government that is the bad guy. They are the ones that made him to John Bell. So I don't think any court should allow them to benefit from their own wrongdoing. That will be inequitable. That's our position. That I think can ground an application to consider him for bail on liberal conditions.
Okay, sir. Let's go back to the Umuahia High Court ruling. Our people are meant to ask you, have federal government remitted the 1 billion naira that was awarded?
Well, anyway, first of all, the federal government has not appealed the ruling. A lot of people were wondering if I have received any notice of appeal. I'm seizing this opportunity to say that I haven't. I don't mind. The federal government has the right to appeal. I hope they won't, because it's a very good judgment. Well, we don't have the 1 billion yet. If we had the 1 billion, it's a very hefty sum of money. I think everybody will pretty much know about it without asking me about it. But that 1 billion is not really the issue. The issue is to clear Mazi's name, to clear Onyendu's name. It wasn't a question of money. There's no amount of money that can ever qualify. As a matter of fact, I regard the other two pronouncements by the judge as more valuable than the 1 billion. The other one that required the federal government to apologize to him and publish the apology in national dailies, and the other one that recommended to the federal government to pursue the path of peaceful political solution to this matter of self-determination for Biafrans. It's not a matter for tough law enforcement. It's not a matter for arrest, prosecution, rendition. That's what the court seems to be saying. That is far more important than the 1 billion naira. Nothing can ever compensate for the emotional trauma, psychological and physical damages that were brought upon this family and upon Mazi and his parents and the 28 people who lost their lives on that ill-fated day or ill-fated period of between 10 September to 14 September 2017. No amount of money can ever recompense or compensate or remedy the terrible situation that was created. I think the victory will lie in the federal government having a full policy somersault and telling itself we have been wrong all along. What we need to do in this situation is to call everybody to the table and seek political solutions to this. That IPOB and members of IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu are not criminals, but people who are genuinely agitated about the injustices in the system, which can only be addressed through dialogue, not tough law enforcement tactics.
Okay, so knowing fully well that millions of Biafrans hope on IPOB legacy, which you are part of, what are the encouraging words you would tell them at this point in time?
Well, what I can tell you is this. Listen, I came into the picture in late 2017. I was called upon to represent IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu when he was missing after the September 17, 2017 attack. I had contact with his family members and they brought me into play. So I want people to understand that from that late 2017 to now, I have 2 victories under my belt. There was a victory I won at the continental level. I'm not going to the detail, you couldn't do the details of that victory because we are forbidden to do so through a certain article. That decision is a continental decision and it's not supposed to be discussed in detail. That's one victory, and there's a lot of assurance in that very decision that affects backwards adversely the declaration in Nigeria that IPOB is a terrorist group, and the proscription and everything that has happened to members of IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu since August 2015 was condemned by that decision. If that decision was implemented as we expected to be later, Nnamdi Kanu would not be in detention right now. A lot of IPOB members wouldn't have been in detention. Those that died wouldn't have died. So I'm seizing this opportunity to call on the federal government. You are aware of the decision. A letter was written. The Attorney General is aware. The President is aware. The Foreign Minister is aware. I'm calling on you people to implement that decision, because Nigeria is a treaty member of the continental body, the international body that took this decision. It's very roguish, very irresponsible for a nation, any nation that signed a treaty, not to consider itself not bound by the letters and spirit of that treaty simply because a decision has been taken that that nation is in breach or violation of provisions of that treaty. It's very irresponsible, and I'm not mincing words in saying it. So Nigeria needs to exhibit or demonstrate responsibility of a state by implementing that decision that was taken internationally. That is one victory that I got, and I'm very proud of it. And I think members of IPOB need to be comforted that an international body listened to their cry and the gavel fell in their favor, that they won. Then the second one under my belt and under your belt, I dedicate everything to the members of IPOB, to Nnamdi Kanu, is the Abia decision of 19th January. That's a second victory. If Nnamdi Kanu did something wrong in 2017, why would a competent court turn around and say, no, he didn't do anything wrong? That is the federal government that did something wrong. So you have to think about that at individual levels, at your individual levels as members of IPOB. Of course, I will encourage you to be law-abiding, but what the system seems to be saying, the domestic court here, that domestic decision from Abia State and the one from the international tribunal appear to be saying is that self-determination is not a crime. That is what it said, pure and simple. Because if Nnamdi Kanu was engaged in a criminal enterprise, the Abia High Court would not have agreed with the proposition that the federal government's controlled armed forces went to his house to terminate his life. The language of the court. So while I encourage members of IPOB to be law-abiding, I would not, as a lawyer in good conscience, encourage any member of IPOB, or in fact any Nigerian, to deny himself his fundamental human rights. You have a right to protest. You have the right to disagree with your government. You have the right to demand better governance. You have the right to hold the political opinion of self-determination. Self-determination is a political opinion, and Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution protects political opinion. So I'm not going to be here to tell anybody to be a wimp and cowardly about his rights. As a lawyer, I will encourage you to be law-abiding, but don't sleep over your rights. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure.
That's the way I describe it. But the truth is that Nnamdi Kanu has been held hostage. He was abducted from Kenya, extraordinary rendition. The fact that he's kidnapped from Kenya could not be explained shows that any judicial pronouncement or processes after that is null and void. You cannot go and kidnap somebody and bring them before a court. And the courts have made it very clear, even up to the Supreme Court, that he did not jump bail. It was the military that went to his house to kill people, and then he escaped. And now you have brought him back. You ought to respect and restore his bail. That's what I told his lawyers. Why are you applying for bail again? Because the Supreme Court made all the pronouncement except releasing him. And I think it was because they were afraid. And that's why I say he's a hostage to this country.
And like you rightly said, there are other people who have made even more egregious pronouncements and fought and carried arms in this country. And you have not treated them the same way because they're not Nnamdi Kanu's, their name does sound East. And I'm not here to fetish being able, but the reality is that they are not treated fairly. And Nnamdi Kanu is part of the reason why that is clear to everybody.
Right.
And by the way, I must also reveal here that there are some Igbo elites who are behind this. Whenever there's a crime of conspiracy against freedom fighters, there are people inside and outside who are working together.
It's the same thing they did to Kanu now. How do you think that Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya and brought to Nigeria, and there's no manifest of the plane that brought him to today? Even judges cannot ask for it. How did he get to Nigeria from Kenya? Who was the person who abducted him from the underground garage? Who was he expecting that made him to drive privately to that place and got kidnapped? Who are the people that kidnapped him? Because the Kenyan government came to court and said, we're not aware. We don't know who did this. You cannot. Is it possible to fly a plane, a private jet, out of an airport without two governments getting involved? How can it be more secretive? It's because there are global conspiracies involved.
Because so far, no strong evidence has been adduced by the prosecution against Nnamdi Kanu. Look at it. The prosecution, or one of their prosecution witnesses, I think Mr. BBB or so, all the things they asked him was saying no. At a point, the judge or Justice Omoto got angry and was reprimanding them that if they don't have any matter to, they should stop coming and all that. It happened. So there was nothing concrete. I was thinking they are going to present a cache of arms stockpiled by Nnamdi Kanu somewhere. Because how can you be a terrorist without gun, Mr. Okoro? Mention anywhere in the world where you see terrorists without a single, not even cutlass with them.
But you are a lawyer. What about inciting people? Because they also said it was inciting people.
What are you talking about? Inciting in what way? Hold on.
They recovered Radio Biafra.
Hold on, please. That is not one of the hallmark of a terrorist. Politicians do incite people. True of us. Politicians, were you not here when somebody told you that God told him that they should kill Tr0ub's wife, Oluremi, that she's an infidel? Did it not happen in this country? That man was not even arrested, not to talk of questioning. What does that tell you? That one is even worse. The man said it, Sheikh Tanshi. So when you are talking of incitement, I don't know what people are talking about. That is not the hallmark. That's not the prescription of a terrorist. Terrorists mean you are heavily armed, killing people, taking up territories, destroying villages and all that.
The terrorists also attack soft targets deliberately.
Is that what?
They deliberately attack soft targets.
They don't look, as long as they are terrorists.
Because it's affection between the government and the people.
Listen very well. A terrorist is a terrorist. And there are prescriptions. That's why no nation in the whole world has seen Nnamdi Kanu as a terrorist or IPOB as a terrorist group. Because they know how to describe a terrorist or terrorist organization. They know. This thing that Killer Fulani herdsmen are doing is a perfect description of terrorism. Perfect description. But the federal government of Nigeria don't want to see that. They are still calling it a farmer header class. Do they need all the forest, all the land in the whole of Nigeria to do their business? If it is for a farmer header clash, no, tell me. You mean they don't have a place? You know, you had when Niger State to call them, come. If you are looking for land, we have more than enough. Kano State to call them, come. We have more than enough. Did they listen? They said no. So if it is land they are looking for, the states have promised them, come and take as much as you like a Niger State. Niger State has the size of the whole of Southwest.
Okay.
So why couldn't they go there if they are looking for land? If they are looking for land. I'm talking of a land that is twice the size of Lagos State. You can get it in Niger State, and yet there's vast area still left. 76,000.
Barrister, we are left with just 1 minute. Now, on the 18th of July, the prosecution and the defense will make their final addresses. What do you expect?
I cannot speak to them. The fact is that they have closed their case. Abi? Yes, the procedure and processes are going on fine.
Okay.
But from the look of things, it looks like the federal government have nothing against Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay. So,
yes.
So they are likely to let him go.
Well, is it not obvious? Is it not obvious when they don't have any strong evidence against him? I told you here. If they have come out and said, look, it was Nnamdi Kanu, the whole of one part of Imo State, he occupied it, he killed every people, he did this, he did, you know, that he made the broadcast. Who told you?
Okay.
So this other one that are killing in Benue, it was Nnamdi Kanu that incited them too, Abi? In Sokoro, it was Nnamdi Kanu. He was the one that incited them. Why didn't they say that?
Well, Barrister, July 18th is about a month away from today, so let's see what goes on before then and on this will be a good place to anchor this conversation.
All right. So what's your thought about it? Please do well to drop your comment, all right? I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much, and God bless you.